Welcome back and happy Friday, everybody. I'm your host, Maya Perez. Skating on in, Kyle and Nate have an interesting topic for you today, ranking the original 6 NHL teams and choosing their greatest of all time outside of Wayne Gretzky. Take it away, our dynamic duo.
Hockey is back here on the Huddle. We got the dynamic duo once again. I'm Nathan Olson, that's Kyle Sparrow, and boy, do we have some fun for you today. And you might be looking at my Red Wings hat, his jersey, and wondering what is going on. Well, we have a little bit of a throwback special hockey edition for you here today. So instead of the BJK merch, I'm throwing on the Red Wings hat in honor of the original 6.
I have a Sabres jersey on. It's not only any Sabres jersey, it is their throwback. You know, you have the goat head, you know, you got the B with the sword, if you guys can see that.
Pretty cool.
And then, you know, yeah, we talk about throwbacks, you know. The NHL was at its best back then. You know, you had 6 teams, nonstop high-level competition, and it was just phenomenal to see.
Yeah, it was. And those 6 teams that he has talked about are known as the original 6. And those teams are the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Detroit Red Wings, the Chicago Blackhawks, you got the New York Rangers, you got the Boston Bruins, and that 6th one is Montreal Canadiens. How could you forget them?
Exactly.
So, with those 6 teams, let's rank them all time.
Okay.
Where are you ranking those 6?
I think number 1 has to be the Canadiens.
The Habs. It's the Habs.
It has to. You know,
I mean, over 20 cups.
They have so many legends on all their teams back in the day, you know. And as you said, they have so many cups that it kind of just, you know, you talk about legends, Guy Lafleur. They literally have a guy with the most goals trophy. The Rocket Richard Trophy is named after a Hab. And so they just have so many legends. They have so many good players in that Hall of Fame, as well as the one of, if not the most, Stanley Cups in NHL history.
Yeah, it is the most, and there's no question about that. I agree for all those reasons. No argument for me too there. Moving to the number 2, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now this one is iffy because they haven't won a cup from 1967.
Yeah.
Been kind of a running meme for some time in the NHL. But if we're going back, if we're including all history, I mean, Toronto was just as dominant as the Habs during those early, you know, 1900s hockey. And you just can't, we're looking at the history, you just can't not say the Maple Leafs were good, you know?
Yeah, and then similar to the Canadiens, they have a lot of legends. You know, you talk about guys like Matt Sundin leading those teams, and as you said, you know, yes, they have not won a cup since the 1967 year, but the running joke has been they haven't made it past the first round, but they've had a lot of good teams throughout the years. And yes, you may not see the Stanley Cup wins, but you see all the Hall of Famers that they have had throughout their franchise history. And you know, you can't count them out. I like them at number 2 as well.
Yeah. For number 3, I am gonna go Red Wings. That is it's gonna be my number 3 pick. They have around 5 to 6 cups in their history. Once again, another one of those teams who are currently not as big. They're coming around this specific season, one of the best teams in the league, which is so excited to see because hockey's good when Detroit's good. That's my own personal opinion on that. But I mean, the Red Wings during their cup ones had probably some of the most dominant goaltender fashion with Dominic Hasek, I believe his name is pronounced.
Yep.
And I mean, he's an argument that we were talking about before. I mean, we've talked about forever, is probably the number 1 goalie all time. There could be some wiggle room there for that conversation, but for another day. Yeah, number 3, Red Wings.
I agree with you. I like Detroit at number 3. You know, Dominic Hasek did play for the Buffalo Sabres as well, and was just a beast. And you know, talk about their Stanley Cup winning teams. There's just been countless teams that they've had, number of Hall of Famers. I like the similarities we got. I like them at number 3 as well.
All right, we're gonna wrap up our 4, 5, 6 pretty quickly, just so we can get to a few other things.
Yep.
I'll tell you my 4, 5, 6. You tell me your 4, 5, 6. We have a little discussion about that.
Yep.
My number 4, I have the Boston Bruins. I'm gonna have the Boston Bruins at number 4. Number 5, going to be the Chicago Blackhawks, and number 6, New York Rangers.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you. I mean, you cannot discount how good the Bruins have been. You can't also discount how many Cup teams that Chicago Blackhawks have had as well. And then the Rangers, yes, they have a lot of legends, but I think they round out that number 6 spot as not quite to the caliber of those other teams. But for once, I don't disagree with those ratings.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't disagree at all.
For the first time ever, we actually agree on something. That's insane. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Bobby Orr, that legendary photo, probably the best photo in NHL history.
Yep.
So funny, and then even the New York Rangers, why I have him at 6, is like you forget that Wayne Gretzky played for that team. That's how like kind of unforgettable that team's history is. Like people just, it's funny.
Yeah.
But actually talking about Wayne Gretzky, and this would be pretty fun to do. Outside of Wayne Gretzky, the great one, who is the best NHL player?
I would confidently say that it is Mario Lemieux. I mean, he has some records. He did lead that Penguins team to a nice cup run. And just like what his impact was on the game. You haven't really seen a player quite like Mario Lemieux. Obviously, we're not discrediting Wayne Gretzky at all, but
he's the obvious number one.
If there wasn't Wayne Gretzky, I would say Mario Lemieux comfortably fits in that spot.
I'm gonna go, right back here, Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey himself. If Wayne Gretzky doesn't exist, I think Gordie Howe is the great one. I think what he did, how he scored, how he played the game was so impressive for his time, just like Wayne Gretzky. But he played during the Wayne Gretzky period, so it's like everything was so shadowed.
Yeah. The guy's nickname is literally Mr. Hockey.
Somehow not even the best nickname in NHL, because the great one's still so insane.
Yeah.
But Mario Lemieux, great response. What he did in Pittsburgh was insane.
I would say both answers we got. I would fit either of those
into
of those players.
Now I could also wiggle in McJesus.
No.
Connor McDavid.
No.
I think you could wiggle him in there.
No.
As we all know, he just scored his 1,000th and 100th point. He was the 5th fastest player to do it in NHL history with just over 700 games, which once again, Wayne Gretzky did it about like 450. Insane stuff. Just every stat is just like that, just Wayne Gretzky always at the top. But if Connor McDavid was playing this style against, these elite goalies, once again, no discredit to Wayne Gretzky, but the goalies didn't stop nothing. It was just to figure like, I'll just, get him next time. Nowadays, it's like, you're having, no more than 6 to 7 goals scored in one game.
Okay, here's my thing, right? Yes, is the level of competition higher? 100%. You obviously have the argument that Wayne Gretzky didn't raise the puck at all and the goalies couldn't stop it. And then McDavid, with how physical the league is now with these rising stars, I agree with you in that sense. I cannot see myself putting McDavid over Gretzky or Lemieux, just because, yes, the impact that he's had is great, but I think that the impact of those old players have been greater in my eyes.
Yeah, but once again, the game today is much more international.
I agree with that.
International. It's not just Canadians and Americans and a few, it's much more international. The goalies are actually saving pucks. The defense is much more physical. Wayne Gretzky's office was behind the net because goalies didn't know what to do. He was the first one to actually start making plays and shooting from there. Nowadays, you can't go behind the net without getting crushed, Like, if you're sitting behind the net, you're gonna get blown up. And, the way that McDavid undresses these defenses, just driving through the net, is absolutely insane. Take McDavid now, put him back in the Wayne Gretzky era, and he doubles his stats. He doubles Gretzky's stats. Like, I'm telling you right now. Now, I am being a little overconfident. McDavid still has a lot to prove to get there. However, he's so close. So close.
I would say the biggest margin of error is we don't know, because he's had some fall off seasons because of injuries and because of other things. But it weathers on how he plays going forward in his career. And who knows? I might take back what I say right now and say he's number one, but as of right now, there's just that margin of error. It's too much.
All right, so one last opinion on one thing. If McDavid wins a cup, is he number 2 all time?
Yes.
Yes? Just that's all he has to do.
I would say a cup win has to that solidifies it.
Well, you hear it here first. You're on the Huddle edition of, the hockey edition of the
Throwback?
Huddle. Throwback. Yeah, throwbacks. So I hope you enjoy a little bit of that hockey history. We will be back for more hockey nonsense another time. Until then, I've been Nathan Olson, and that's Kyle Sparrow. And we're your dynamic duo.
Thank you to our star NHL dynamic duo, but now let's change our focus to the NFL and new faces in new places. The NFL trade deadline took place a few days ago, and there were some big changes. Thomas from Rebel Roundtable is back and joins Ariel and Kyle at the desk. I'll let them catch you up on the NFL's biggest changes.
Thanks, Maya. Welcome to the football segment of the Huddle. I'm joined here with one half of the Rebel Roundtable, Thomas Gabo, and the Huddle, the guy, the leader, Ariel Meza. And, the trade deadline was yesterday, and, some teams made some decisions. Might have been questionable, might have not been questionable. Thomas, what did you see from the trade deadline?
Yeah, the Jets really blew it up, got a lot of picks back, and, your in-division opponent. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I think that the Jets kind of made a good move. I like blowing it all up. I like stacking their draft capital, And they kind of got rid of, it's a fresh start. I know we've seen it from the Jets before, the fresh start, but you have a first-year head coach. You guys kind of have a young core. I liked it. Obviously, Breece Hall is going to be out by free agency because he wanted to get traded and he didn't get traded. But, I like the fact that the Jets are stacking their draft capital for the next 2 years.
I mean, it makes sense for them to do it. They weren't winning with those players anyways. Yeah. Why not just trade them away and restart completely? They got how many, 3 picks?
They have
those 2 players, Mozzie Smith and another player, right? Or was it just Mozzie Smith? But that's a package for 2 players. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're great players, but again, they weren't winning with them anyway, so why wouldn't you do it? So I think they really won this trade deadline week. But
yeah, and then one of the big trades we did see was Sauce Gardner from the Jets to the Colts, and I think that was a very good move by the Jets. Obviously, as you mentioned, they weren't winning with that defense, and he wasn't playing to quite the caliber that we've seen him play, as well as that contract. $120 million. The Colts inherit that contract, as well as they give up 2 first-round picks. I think the Jets kind of got a steal for that. That is pending whether or not Sauce Gardner plays to the level that we think he's going to play. But I thought one of the better trades was your Cowboys were busy on the defensive side of the ball. You did say last week that the Cowboys need to make a lot of trades on defense, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, Quentin Williams, Logan Wilson, trade away Mozzie Smith, but that was a bust for the Cowboys. So I'm happy about it. I thought maybe it was a little bit too much of who they traded for Quentin Williams. That was Mozzie Smith, the 2nd-round pick, and a 1st-round pick. But they still retained 1 more 1st-round pick from that Micah Parsons trade.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say now, because of those trades that we made this weekend, we just won that Micah Parsons trade because we still have that extra pick, got another top D tackle, and we got freed up cap space. So, it's just a win overall, I think. But I still miss Micah Parsons a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, in hindsight, yes, but we need to see how those players that you signed, Logan Wilson and Quentin Williams, we need to see how they develop in the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that defense to really stack up because we got those 2 coming, and then we have Overshown, who I've talked about a lot recently. So a lot of players coming back. Should beef up that defense a little bit. It's probably a better trade for next year, but I'm still optimistic about this year. But for you, the Bills didn't make a trade.
Oh, my goodness gracious,
no.
dog.
The Jets were kind of in that conversation anyways. They had Garrett Wilson. You were hoping for him. What happened there?
I have no idea what happened there. You guys know, I was literally sitting here on campus, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna trade for a wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. Never happened. And I don't understand, if you're the GM of the Bills, how you do not trade for a wide receiver. There's so many on the market that you could have given up. Yes, I know Keon Coleman is welcomed into Buffalo, but he's not doing what you expected him to do. And I personally, if the offer was on the table for Garrett Wilson, for Jalen Waddle, for Chris Olave, any wide receiver, Jacoby Myers even, who we're going to talk about later, you have to trade for a wide receiver because as of right now, yes, we had a big win against the Chiefs. I don't think doing nothing at the trade deadline was it.
I don't know. I think the Bills, Josh Allen literally carries them. So, I mean.
We're trying to take some of the load off.
Right. But I think schematically, when you go up defense to defense for the Bills week to week, it makes it tougher for defenses to pick out which one of those guys is going to go off week to week. So.
Yeah, but one of the trades that I thought was very interesting, and I'll get to you guys in a minute, the Jacoby Myers to the Jags. And, we saw that they played the Jags in what was a thriller, an OT thriller, and you wonder, did that have any effect on that trade? Right. And I think, I'm going to say it did, because in one of our classes, we did an entire film session on that final 2-point conversion in overtime, and people say he was open, people say he wasn't open. I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but I think that definitely had some factor in the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that he was talking to the GM's son after the game, so it seemed like they knew that was going to happen for sure, that he was going to go to the Jags. The other wide receiver trade that happened was Shaheed to the Seahawks.
Yep.
So another wide receiver that the Bills could have targeted and didn't. So which one do you think is going to benefit the team more, Jags getting Myers or the Seahawks getting Shaheed?
I'm going to be honest. I think that Shaheed trade is very good for the Seahawks. You look at their receiver room currently, and it's basically JSN, who's been a dog, and then you have kind of Cooper Kupp, who hasn't really. We expected him to have a little bit more of a role in that offense, and he just hasn't. And then, Torrey Horton stepping up in a big way, my fantasy GOAT last week. But, I think that Shaheed trade is very good for the Seahawks because they kind of build depth at that receiver position.
Right, you get a one-play guy kind of. We know Shaheed is known as a one-play, deep threat, kind of like a Jameson Williams kind of do. But, JSN and the other receivers on this offense, they really hold it down, and yeah.
But yeah, I thought that the trade deadline this year was kind of just the receivers because we talked about it all week and it was just the receivers. Did we think Sauce Gardner would be traded to the Colts?
No,
at
that
any
one
point?
That one came from left field.
That one kind of blew the door wide open. And you also look at the Jets and what they did. They did sign Donnie Mitchell. And, it's kind of like we now can confirm that they're rebuilding because a young receiver in that receiver room has Garrett Wilson, an experienced guy. And it's going to be very interesting to see what the Jets do within the next 2 to 3 years because they are loaded with that draft capital.
Yeah, and for the Colts, they're looking to load up on the back end with Sauce Gardner, so they're kind of in a win-now mentality after following that loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, my Pittsburgh Steelers sit at 5-3, but yeah, they're 7-2. They're in a win-now mentality.
I was going to ask you, did you expect the Steelers to make a move at all, or did you expect them to stay stagnant and just kind of observe?
I'd say I wanted to. I wanted them to go out and maybe try and get Breece Hall, who doesn't. But I don't know. They're never really a team that is recognized at the trade deadline to make trades. They usually get it done through the draft and a little bit of free agency.
But yeah, I think the Colts definitely kind of bolstered their Super Bowl odds in a way because, yes, Sauce Gardner they inherit that big contract, but if he plays to the level that we think he's going to play and expects him to play, that defense is kind of a juggernaut going into, and they're sitting pretty at the top spot right now. And I would say the Super Bowl favorite currently with the way they've been playing, as well as Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor are humming and firing on all cylinders. That team's looking very dangerous.
Real quick, he already answered, kind of gave me an answer to my question, but what's a trade you expected that you didn't really see happen?
I would say, a trade I expected was for sure the Jacoby Myers trade. To the Jags, no, but him to be out of the Raiders organization, I would say I expected that. The one I did not expect was that Sauce Gardner trade. As soon as it broke, kind of what in the world?
But I asked, what trade did you expect to see that didn't happen? Like,
I
who'd you
expected to
expect
see a freaking receiver go to the Bills, and it never happened.
Or like a Brees Hall kind of trade.
Yeah.
I
just-
really expected
There
Brees
were
Hall
talks
to
of
get
like A.J. Brown
Yeah.
and the Eagles. I didn't really expect it because I don't think the Eagles want part from him, but they don't not really getting the usage out of him that
I
most
just-
people expected. But
I just am a salty Bills fan. I wanted a receiver. I pride myself on a receiver, and now we have to stick through this season yet again and watch Josh Allen do his thing. But that's all the time we have for the football segment here on the Huddle. Thank you guys for watching, and Maya will send things back over to you.
Thank you, Ariel, Thomas, and Kyle. Moving on, we are a good handful of weeks into the NBA season. Ethan, Whit, and John are back to tell you their biggest overreactions at this point in the season.
Thanks, Maya. We're almost a week or two into the NBA season. So, guys, what is your one overreaction to the season so far?
Well, it was not in my bingo card to expect the Bulls to start out 6-1 to start off the season, let alone their best player, Kobe White, not being in their lineup. I did not expect him to be this good at all. I mean, shout out Josh Giddey. He's currently averaging 23, 10, and 9. And they've had a pretty good resume so far. They've beaten the Kings, the Pistons, the Magic, and the Hawks to start off the season. Also the Knicks. They just beat the Knicks a couple days ago. And so, yeah, I mean, I did not expect the Bulls to start off this good. What about you guys?
I mean, going back to that, these are quality wins. These are no, like, Magic Kings. They started out the season back-to-back wins against the Cavaliers, who are, I think, one of the contenders for the NBA title. So these are quality wins, and I'm actually really surprised too.
I
What's your
mean,
take?
my thing with the Bulls is, I think we might be seeing an All-NBA season from Josh Giddey. But the thing is, I talked to you guys about this before the show, but you look at the stats of this game, you watch the game themselves, these wins are good, but they're not great in the sense that they're leaving shooters wide open right now, and they're just missing. Like, teams are shooting historically bad against the Bulls, and it's really just maybe early season luck. But I don't see this holding up for 40 or even 41 games a season or an 82-game season. Do I think this is going to be an improvement this year? Absolutely. But do I think that this is going to be they're what, 8-1 right now, right? 7-1 or whatever.
Yeah.
I still don't think they're contenders at all. Kobe White also might, I wouldn't say ruin this offense, but we don't know what he's going to look like in this much more fluid offense ran by Josh Giddey.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you have a great team that's 7-1, 8-1 like this, when your star player's out, it's often like a little bit frustrating when you come back and you're the star player. Okay, now give me the ball, but wait, we're 7-1, so you don't want to disrupt that. So it's just kind of a weird dynamic to be in, given that the Bulls, they've kind of floated around that mediocre mark for so long, and that's what I think we all expect them to do again this season. And so,
I still kind of do.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're gonna go always like 41-41. So, but for my take is Zion's injured again.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many injuries he's out. This one only 7 to 14 days, but it just come to a point where the Pelicans mortgaged their future to get up and draft Derek Queen. They drafted Jeremiah Fears, and they're near the bottom of the league. And so, kind of what our NFL guys were talking about, you have all these guys, but you're still not winning, so why not trade them? And I think Zion needs to go somewhere like Miami, where it's like guys have said, hey, Miami's a really tough place to play. They're gonna push you, and I think that's exactly what Zion needs.
My thing with Zion is, okay, we've seen him for, what is it now? Drafting, 2018?
Or 2019.
19, 2021, 2022, what, 7 years in the league?
Yeah, something
And
like that.
I get it. I get it. He has 2 All-Stars under his belt, maybe 1, something like that.
Yeah.
Are we ready to just label him a bust? Just because how unavailable he's been? You don't think so?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think the Embiid comparisons are starting to get a little out of hand. But Zion's not a bust. I just don't think he, as you mentioned, all these years, he has not played in one playoff game. I think the Pelicans have made the playoffs one time, or even just the play-in. And so I just don't think Zion's a bust, but I don't think he's the superstar, all-star, all-NBA player we thought he was going to be.
No, I mean, out of high school, he was maybe the most hyped up prospect that was maybe in my lifetime. You look at those YouTube mixtapes, you look at even his short career at Duke, he was Thanos, you know?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the one who was just gonna bully everyone. He was gonna bring that physicality to the NBA. And all we've seen is, a few cool dunks, averaging 23, 24, okay defender, but like, what else really? What's the highest that the Pelicans had this in this reign? It was a play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so underwhelming, and I don't know if they should just straight up blow it up, because I don't know if they really can right now.
I don't think they can.
But at the same time, what are you really gonna do?
What do you think?
I mean, just going back to what you said about calling him a bust, it's not crazy to say that he's a bust, because availability is the best ability when it comes to a player, and he just has not been available for the Pelicans since he got drafted by them. So I think, we know how good he is when he's healthy, right? We've seen how good he is for the Pelicans, but he's just never healthy. So I feel like labeling him as a bust isn't the craziest thing to say, but then again, I just don't think it's the right time to also blow it all up or trade him, ship him away. Maybe just see this year out and then maybe go on from there and see how he performs with these, pieces that they just drafted.
But if they, you wanna go?
No, go ahead.
If they do, blow it up, I think they have a lot of pieces that can actually be worth a lot. Zion himself, someone like Trey Murphy, I think can garner a ton of attention and a ton of interest from a lot of teams. Because what teams need most right now, basically all 30 teams, is a switchable, big, wing. And you look at the rest of their roster, they have a ton of those, and it's like they could pull off a pretty good roster blow up, And I think it's just we're gonna see in February what this team's gonna look like. And I wouldn't be surprised if the trade deadline, they're just gonna blow it all up.
Speaking of teams who are kind of blowing it up, and as you mentioned, availability is the best ability. What do you guys think about Ja Morant? Just suspended another game under the new head coach, not his usual self, and this just seems like a whirlwind for Grizzlies fans. So we'll start with you. What do you think?
It's not looking good for the Grizzlies right now in terms of Ja Morant. I saw murmurs about him and the head coach not having the best relationship. So, I'm not surprised if at some point throughout the season, Ja, requests a trade or something like that. But yeah, the Grizzlies in general, it's not looking too good for them. So yeah, what do you guys think about?
So actually, this was going to be my one overreaction from this season, is the fact that the Grizzlies should blow it up and blow it up soon. When I say soon, maybe even before February, maybe even before the trade deadline, mainly because the more we spend with this Ja season, the more I think his value might go down. I think as of right now, a lot of teams might not even give up a first-round pick for him. And this is someone who was supposed to be the face of the league. This is someone that was an all-star, 2 years ago? And he's averaging 20 points right now. He was averaging 26, 27 in his 2 all-star years. He was leading a second seed not that long ago. And now we look at this as, yes, I think he is a reason Taylor Jenkins was fired.
Yeah.
Because of how much you're getting away from the pick and rolls, and that's, Ja's whole offense. And under their new head coach, was just the associate, who got promoted. They're running it a bit more, but it's still not the same. And you see it in the numbers. He's averaging 20. And when you look at teams that could even take him, I saw a report about maybe the Kings. We talked about maybe the Rockets, but it's like, do these teams, one, have the assets to trade someone like that? And do the Grizzlies really want anything from any of these teams? I saw a package that was going to be DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, and maybe a first. Do the Grizzlies even take that? Do the Kings even take that?
For me, going back to this Ja thing, I just think you're getting a guy. What are you getting? You're getting a max contract, a guy that's supposed to be the guy, but you're getting a little immaturity from making some comments about the coaching staff to the whole
all his Instagram posts,
to the whole weapon fiasco. So for me, if I'm the Kings, there's no way I do that. You're getting an immature player, a ball-dominant guard that has to be the hub of your offense, and so I just don't really see the Timberwolves. I think were a bit of a murmur. Him and Ant, I just don't mesh well together, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like for Ja, I don't really see a lot of teams that he can fit in right now. Especially like you said, the Timberwolves. I just don't think him and Ja mesh well together. 2 ball-dominant players, so I don't think that would work well. So
I think the best fit would be the Rockets, but I don't know if they just have the assets for it unless they just want to, throw in a bunch of first-round picks, which, I mean, they can. They want to be contenders this year, so they could do that if they want. But I think money-wise, I don't know if they really have the contracts for that unless they want to, make a major trade.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today on the NBA edition of The Huddle. So sending it back over to you, Maya.
Thank you to everyone who joined me on the show today. I love hearing you guys speak, but that is all the time we have today. And since nobody asked me, this is my jersey. I'll see you next Friday. I was your host, Maya Perez. Follow our socials down below and have an amazing weekend.